Hey, Rainollon here. Today is another build showcase, and it's Atlas Prime. So, let us immediately start. Jesus, man, calm down. Let's start with Atlas first, and the mods. The mods I'm using on Atlas: Steel Charge for melee damage, Cunning Drift for ability range, Overextended for ability range, lowers your strength, whatever, Argon Reach for ability range, and Arcane Stretch for ability range, which is max range. And when you proc electricity, you also get energy regeneration from Arcane Stretch. Precision Intensify gives you 40 ability, 9% ability strength, which is a must-have in my opinion. Prime Flow for massive amount of energy. Prime Continuity for ability duration. Transient Fortitude, ability strength, lowers your duration. We fixed that with Prime Continuity. And Rubble Heap, which is an augment for his first ability to do a lot of damage. And it's a must-have. So, those are the mods. The Arcanes: Arcane Fury on a critical hit, which is very easy to accomplish. You get 180% melee damage for 18 seconds. You're always going to have this. It's quite good. Multi-augmented on kill, you get 0.24% ability strength. When you kill 250 enemies, it gives you a permanent 60% ability strength, and this is quite nice. So those are the Arcanes. For the stats here, strength and shield are fine, but we are not going to build for it, mostly because Atlas's first ability gives you immortality when you use it, so this is kind of pointless for us. Armor is amazing, but sadly it doesn't take any damage. Energy max is really good. You have to have over 500 to utilize some shards. Ability duration is absolutely fine. Efficiency is not even touched. Range is maxed out to 180%, which is a must-have in my opinion. And strength is below average, which who cares? So those are the stats. Time for me to explain the abilities. Alright, for the abilities, the passive gives him knockdown immunity while on the floor. It's bad because your first ability does the exact same thing. It gives you mortality and knockdown immunity and status immunity. It's the exact same thing, it's just this is bad. First ability, when you press it, you are pretty much unkillable. You'll do damage to that enemy and also every enemy in a 11.2 meter radius. If that enemy survives the first punch, the second punch will do also damage in a 16.8 meter radius. And the third punch will do 22.4 meter radius, which is ridiculous. Really good clear. Not only that, it has no line of sight. And if an enemy is at the edge of your 22.4 meters and you have influence and you proc electricity to that enemy, electricity will spread in another 20 meter radius, which is a 40 meter radius AoE. It's really good. Second ability, it's really bad. It creates a wall that has no health, doesn't scale at all, does no damage. It turns into a ball if you use it again. It's just bad. They need to remove this ability entirely. Third ability, Petrify. This is a good ability. In a 120 degrees, in a 40 meter radius, you stun enemies, you proc a 50% vulnerable, and when you kill enemies with your first ability, they will drop rocks. When you collect those rocks, you're going to get armor. So the augment for his first ability, which is also his passive, when you use this, you kill enemies with your first ability, they drop rocks. Once you collect decent amount of rocks, which is over 1,000, which is quite fast, your first ability will do twice as much more damage. It's going to travel much faster and also doesn't use any energy. The synergy between these two, it's a must-have. Fourth ability, I removed it. It's horrible. Replace it with Raffle Advance. Raffle Advance is going to give you a huge amount of critical chance. And you're going to always utilize this, and it works really well with Atlas. So, those are the abilities. I think it's time for me to show you the Exalted Weapon. So, let's start. The Landslide Fists Prime. So, let's start with the mods. There are two builds, the Exposure build and an Influence build. Let's start with the Exposure. I'm using Prime Pressure Point for increased melee damage, Organ Shatter for critical damage, Gladiator Might for critical damage and critical chance per combo multiplier. So we're going to have 110% critical chance, which is quite nice. Gaon Steel, critical chance, and also after 4 kills you get 120% critical damage. North Wind for cold, Prime Fever Strike for toxin. Toxin and cold give you viral. Blood Rush and Weeping Wounds, we're going to have 12x all the time. So this is going to give you 440% stash chance, and this is going to give you 440% critical chance, which is a must-have, and it finally works. So those are the mods. For the Arcane melee exposure on ability cast, his first ability is ability, so you're going to get 60% corrosion damage on your melee strikes for 25 seconds, and it stacks up all the way up to 240%, which is a lot of increased damage. So these two for increased damage, this is for increased damage, pressure point, you have crit here, critical chance here, critical chance here, critical damage here. You're going to see some ridiculous numbers. So that's the exposure build. Time for me to show you the influence setup. So the influence setup is nearly identical. You can see right here. The only thing that changed is I'm no longer using a viral setup. I'm using Shocking Touch for electricity, Voltaic Strike for electricity and stash chance. I did remove Gladiator Might for Galvanized Elementalist for status damage, and also 120% stash chance after 4 kills. So this is a status build and also an influence build, so you're going to see a bunch of electricity procs, and when the electricity procs on a electricity status effect, there's a 20% chance for every status effect to apply to every enemy in a 20 meter radius. This is going to help you with clear. His first ability does have a really good range, but with influence is going to have even more ridiculous range. So this is the influence setup. So influence setup is much better at clearing than the exposure. Exposure is much better at single target DPSing. It's all up to you. What do you like to play or use more? I'm going to show you the influence setup in game. So it's time for me to show you the shards. For the shards of what I recommend for you to go is 1 yellow shard for cast speed. This will make his third ability cast much faster. It's quite noticeable. I will highly recommend. And no, it doesn't work on his first ability, sadly. For the other shards are all purple shards for 37.5 melee critical damage, and also when you have over 500 energy, this critical damage is doubled. And we have it with Prime Flow, so yeah, it's a must-have. So all of this is purple shards. And I think it's time for me to finally show you Atlas build in-game. So let us start. And we are in. I'm up against the Corrupted Enemies at the Void. It's a survival. Steel Path, of course. I'm going to show you this build here. And as you can see, he's annihilating everything. Let me just destroy this so he doesn't kill me. These lasers do more damage than these Steel Path enemies. Don't forget to use your third ability to petrify them, kill them with your first ability to drop rocks. You can see in bottom right that I have 1500, which is the cap amount of rocks you can collect. And once you have over 1000, your first ability does twice as more damage. It travels faster and it uses no energy at all. Raffle Advance, hold it. You can see it's a fourth ability and gives you like really huge amount of critical chance. All my attacks are now crits. Galvanized Steel gives you critical chance, critical damage. Blood Rush gives you 440% critical chance. Raffle Advance, and you just see nearly cap crit. It's 2 exclamation points. It's like 1 exclamation point away from the highest crit. Boom. Again. Yeah, it's just nice. No, I accidentally did something. Oh, there you go. This is the second ability. You can also petrify it, and it turns into rock and does like no damage. You can also block enemies from walking here, but it doesn't have a lot of health. You can see on the bottom right where the second ability is, like 100. Oh, never mind, it's now 0. There we go. You can see the 100. That's the health. That's the percentage health it has. You can now going to see how the enemies destroyed in seconds. It's just bad. Really bad ability. Doesn't protect anything, just small. Should be just like removed entirely. It's just a massive meme. It's just much better. It feels less clunky with his first ability now, more than ever. I just wish the passive was just status. knockback immune, not on the floor. Sometimes when you travel and something knocks you down, it's kind of annoying. For a rock to be knocked down is ridiculous, you know. Oh. His second ability is just bad. Third ability, I just wish it was replaced with the second ability, so he uses less energy. That's it. It will feel much better. You need to use it to petrify enemies to get the rocks. I don't believe the Acolytes are going to survive this, even if the only thing I'm going to do is electricity and impact. It's just nice. It has no line of sight. I don't believe they're going to like change this or nerf this. I know they despise line of sight. Sorry, non-line of sight abilities. Atlas is the least played Warframe in the past 6 years. If they were to touch him, that's going to be ridiculous. A lot of Warframes now do this with influence setups, and some pseudo-exalts like Gara and Korra. Korra always did it. Like Gara does this. Wukong can now do this. Valkyr. Who else? Who else? I mean, Excalibur also has no LOS. So don't worry about that stuff. I don't believe it's going to happen. Where is the Acolyte? I need the Acolyte. So you wonder, what's the difference between the exposure build and this? Like I said, this is a better clear because of influence, but the damage is much weaker. Much weaker. I like the exposure setup more. It does have like a decent 11.6 meter radius with the first punch, and the third punch is like 20 meters, which is technically a slightly longer influence. Especially later on, you're going to fight enemies that are, you know, tankier. So it's going to be much nicer with exposure than this. Lower level content, for like low level content like this, absolutely fine.
When you are ready, go to extraction.
But we won't be getting a high level content. I'm shocked that the Acolyte didn't spawn. Where is my Acolyte? How long do I have to wait? Argon Crystal, nice. I have to feed that to my helmet. Oof. Boom. There he is. Come on. Finally. Finally. Oh, he's dead. That's it. That's the Acolyte right there. Alright. I think I've shown the build enough. This is Atlas, so let me just extract. Atlas Prime is usable now. Much better. You don't need a stat stick, finally. You don't need a specific stat stick with a specific ribbon roll to utilize him. It was like bad. Now you can finally mod his Prime Fists. You can finally use Arcanes on it. You can finally use Weeping Wounds and Blood Rush. It feels much better. The build works. The setup works. I will recommend the setup entirely. I still feel that he needs a rework. His passive should be just knockback immunity entirely, not on the floor. His second ability needs to be removed. Same with the fourth ability. Replace with something better, more up to date. And I wish they swapped the second ability with the third ability so that the third ability doesn't use so much energy. You have to use it to stun enemies, to proc the 50% vulnerable, to get the rocks, you know, all of that. He still needs a rework, but right now he feels much better to play. Yeah, Atlas is usable now. I highly recommend, and thank you yet again everybody for watching. Leave a like, sub, and see you all next time. Thank you. Goodbye.